Okay, it looks like we are live. Are you ready for me?
I am. Hi.
Okay. Okay. Without further ado, on today's episode of Playing Small is Cancelled, we have a very exclusive treat. She is a rock star in the world of executive coaching with a career that includes over 15 years in financial services and now leading her own coaching company where she combines practical business savviness and spirituality. No big deal. She's an expert in leadership assessments, team transformation, and strategic development, empowering leaders to maximize their impact and influence. Big facts. With a unique approach to career transitions and team dynamics, she has transformed the way executives lead and perform across various industries. And her ability to help you tap into more of your own capacity is revolutionary. Please welcome the dynamic, innovative, and transformative, the beautiful and brilliant, my dear friend, Tanya Ezekiel. How you doing, T?
I'm doing great, my dear friend Craig. Absolutely. Great. Thank you for having me. This is fun. As always, every time we get together, it's nothing but magic. So
I know, and also long time no see. I haven't seen you
yes, exactly.
in about 12 hours. And I'm super pumped for today, specifically, aside from the fact that how much I love you and our friendship. I'm really pumped to share you with our audience and community that might not have been familiar and all the nuggets that you love to teach on and coach and all that good stuff. But before we dive in, I have a little icebreaker for you. You ready
Oh,
for it?
yes, I'm always ready for you.
T, how important is it for you to be connected to your mission?
Most important, actually. It's interesting. We'll get into it. There's a section of my book, which of course now I wish I remembered because I would quote you right in here. And, uh, and in the book, I'm actually quoting Joe Dispenza, who's talking about motivation. And he's talking about the different levels of motivation. It's all written out here. And the top motivation is mission motivation. So from there, you get down to more superficial levels of motivation, which are not sustainable. So the thing about being connected to a mission, it's a natural motivator. So instead of trying to get motivated, I just remember, who am I? Why am I here? Why am I even doing this? What am I creating? And that why, which we all talk about, is a why I always get curious about. I always get curious about, what's why am I doing this right now? Why am I even speaking to you right now? Because we are both mission motivated. And when we're mission motivated, we constantly have ideas, which is why I saw you just 12 hours ago, because we're constantly creating, and we're constantly generating new ideas to spread wisdom, to spread energy to everyone we come in contact with. And all that comes from the mission motivation.
Yeah. And also, both you and I speak from a lot of contrast because there's been seasons of life where you weren't necessarily connected to what you were doing, right? So you have that contrast.
Yeah. That's such a good reminder, because when we're sitting here and let's have a chat, Craig and I, this is so exciting, and you forget those contrasting times in your life, and sometimes there's months, sometimes there's weeks. The thing is, the amazing thing about the work that you and I do for in the world, but also for ourselves, is the periods of time of those contrasts, let's call them, become shorter and shorter, to the point that you can have a dark hour, but the next hour you're out of it, and you just move back into the light. And that's really what separates people. Honestly, that's really what makes the biggest difference between people who become very successful and less successful, is how often they go to their dark place and how long they stay. It's not like we never go there, but if you lessen the frequency and you shorten the time, you just spend more time in your brightness.
Yeah. And then it doesn't spiral or create maybe negative momentum.
Absolutely. And you remember, right? It actually creates muscle memory in a sense. You're like, wait, I felt like this last week, and actually it only lasted a few hours. So by tonight, this is all going to be history. So what if I just make it history right now?
Yeah.
Right? So it creates this muscle memory that you can just keep going back to.
So good. There's obviously so many places we could take this. I want to make the most of every second. You're one of the best in the world that I've been fortunate enough to interact with when it comes to empowering somebody. and obviously you coach people, but whether you're coaching a client or talking to a friend or just really empowering someone, I know that it's not really so much about what you're coaching, but who you're being for them and the space that you're creating for them to let their own magic unfold. So just to be clear for everyone that's listening, everyone's magic already exists within them. Is that right?
Oh, did I just lose you? Hold on. Can you hear me?
I could hear you, but you can never lose me.
1 second.
But you are frozen a little bit.
Yeah. Wait, is that my back? Okay, cool. All right, great.
The energy was too strong.
Say that again. Say that again, because I was noticing the freezing.
When you're coaching or helping or just empowering anybody, and I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do it better than you, it's not so much for you about what you're coaching them on, but who you're being and the space that you're creating for that person to let their own magic unfold. So just to be clear, everybody has already within them their own magic, and you just try to help them reveal their own.
Yes. First of all, you already came to the starting point, right? So when we talk about activate your opportunities, it's your opportunities and you're just activating them. So they're already there, right? So your magic is there. The opportunities around you are there. And so now if you come to me for some guidance and support and coaching, you may not know that. And it may not be your lens, but it's always my lens. So you may not have, the belief in yourself in that moment, but I always believe in that. I always believe in that because first of all, it helps to have seen it over and over again. It helps to know that I can bring it out. So again, like, you and I talk about reps all the time, right? Like, yes, you have to know what to do, how to do it, but then there's the willingness to put in the reps, right? So I've put in so many reps over 15 years that when someone walks in the door, sits in front of me, it could be as simple as, hey, let's catch up for coffee. And I just know it, and that when I say that no, even by saying the word no, it kind of stops me, right? Because it's such a powerful word. Like, I know this person has magic. The magic is just waiting to unfold. And all they need is the peeling of the artichoke to get to the heart. No onions. Onions make you cry. I don't know why we say we
So you help facilitate that so well. From your experience, what is something consistent that most people struggle with from being able to get underneath that and to really begin to unravel it? What do they typically struggle with that you help them kind of remove?
Yeah, so good. So I'm going to leverage the question you just finished asking me before, which is that I be a space for people, right? So yes, they struggle with some common situations or circumstances they might put themselves in with themselves. But first, let's just assume that I am being the space for them first, and I'm also doing my own work, which is really where coaching mastery comes from. That I read a lot about as in my second book, which is, so let's make the assumption that I'm already doing my work when I come to the table, right? Because if I'm not doing my work, I can assume that yes, they can create miracles, but if I'm not doing my work, am I really believing that it's possible anyhow? So that's kind of an assumption. Now, how do people get in their own way? It's interesting. I want to say,
where do we begin, right?
Well, yes, because you and I were actually involved in this discussion yesterday in a class. Is it the thought first, or is it that they've created in a desire in themselves to even be that way? And you're like, well, why would anyone create a desire in themselves to get in their own way, right? So now we're kind of starting to unpack, which we can do in an advanced class at some point. But that's really it. It's, even thoughts become habitual. And so, what coaching really does, it really can do for somebody is recognize those patterns. So the pattern is they might have a desire, it creates a thought, the thought gets repeated, it creates an outcome, it becomes habitual, and now they're stuck on this, on this treadmill, just repeating and repeating and repeating the same challenges and obstacles that they've created for themselves. So what can be really powerful with coaching is the pattern interrupt, right? And there's so many different modalities and ways to do that. But even for a coach to sit there and know that, wow, there's that pattern, there's a habit, we can break that habit. And so then it comes to, how do we break the habit that was created by the thought to go further upstream to create a desire for something else?
Yeah. So first you have to identify and have the awareness to see the pattern, and then we can tap into the tools that we have to break the pattern.
Right. And here's an additional challenge to that. Can you identify it without judging it?
Ooh,
Right.
nuggets.
Because we're really good at judging ourselves and say, oh, you know what I do? Oh, this is my thing. It's, this is my problem. And, oh, I always do this and I always end up in this situation. But can we have the awareness, right, to just say, oh, there it is again, right? If I wake up with that, with that on my mind, then I create an outcome I may not want. So I already woke up that way. How do I change it right now? Right? So instead of, oh, there I am again with the negative thoughts, no, instead it's back up and say, how interesting. Can you get curious about yourself? Right? Can you get curious about your own thought and say, that's such an interesting thought. Where did I get that thought? You know what? Who cares where I got it? How do I change it?
Yeah. This is unbelievable. This is so powerful. And I know that you talk about often, really in both books, but just in general, that we all have an intuition and we have access to really greater levels of consciousness than we can ever even perceive or imagine. And it's a unique process on how to recognize or interpret the messages for us to be able to tap into that. What is something maybe that you do that's been helpful for you to be able to recognize or interpret the messages and tap into different levels of your consciousness?
So I'm going to start by saying, I don't know. It's so hard for us to say, I don't know, right? Like, who likes to say, I don't know? But the thing is, if I keep saying, oh, I know this, I know that, then I'm not going to, then my capacity is at its limit, right? Then I'm full, right? Like my vessel is full, so nothing else wants to pour into it, right? But if I say, I don't know, I actually don't know. Even when a client is sitting in front of me and I've seen this pattern before, it's an archetype, if I say, oh, I know exactly what this person does and I know exactly how to change it, that's a limitation. And so to stay away from those limitations, every limitation we release creates more possibilities. So it starts with an I don't know. Oh, interesting. I don't know. And to just listen. And so from there, once I go to that I don't know space, now I'm listening, right? I'm listening for, what do I know? Because if I say I know, I'm actually not listening to what I know. If I say, I don't know, then I go into, well, what do I know? Right? What do I know? And then as you do that more and more, without looking for answers, everyone has this capacity. Everyone has this capacity to eventually sense the difference between a thought and a message. Sense the difference between a thought and a message. At first, you just have to know there's some different ones. That's intuition.
T, where does your intuition come from, do you think?
There's so many definitions to intuition, and one of them is actually based on experience, interestingly, right? There's actually a definition of intuition that says if you do something enough times, then eventually it becomes intuitive. I think it becomes instinctive, right? But intuition to me goes beyond. It's accessing a collective intelligence, right? It's accessing a collective intelligence and allowing that to be real for me, if I could. Like, how many times, Craig, do you and I text, wow, I almost texted you just like 5 minutes ago? What's that? That's tapping into a collective consciousness, right? That's not me, I'm such a genius, or what a coincidence. Well, okay, once a coincidence, twice a coincidence, but how many times does that happen to us? Right? So when there's a connection, it increases the potential for intuition. And that's why intuition gets stronger with clients or with any relationships. You create relationships with your membership community. And so when you get a few of those people together, your intuition is heightened because there's a fabric that's being created in that collective consciousness that makes that intuition more accessible.
I love it. Beautifully articulated, as usual. I know some of your spiritual practices. We share many in common. We're all over the map today. This is the good stuff. We're going to go scuba diving right now and go a little deep. Why do you think we're here?
Okay, you intentionally asked a vague question. There's so many dimensions we could answer that from. Well, let me start with what appears to be more. So why you and I are here, first of all, why you and I are here together, is because both you and I trust messages when they come to us. And we happen to have gotten connected by one of our spiritual teachers who trusts messages even more than us when it comes to him, right? So, and it's something he's taught me, actually. Benjamin is his name, as some people may know. So, one thing Benjamin has taught me is, one of the ways, and we're tying all our questions together, one of the ways you help people create magic, actually, is because when something comes to you, you don't question it, right? So when you get good at hearing those messages, you don't question it. You're like, wow, it came to me, it's got to be done, right? You had a situation this week where you called me and you said, I was called to call somebody, right? And when you were saying it, I know when you're in the zone, right? You were just like so present with it. It came out so clear. And when you got that message, you did something about it instantly. So that's why you and I are here, right? And we're also here to help other people do more of that, because people sometimes ask me about the name of my company, Conductive, but it's about being conductive, right? It's about it's being the conductor, but it's also being conductive for other people. So when you and I are tapping into our intuition, we have a tremendous level of trust between us, right? Again, also increases intuition, because intuition doesn't show up when there's no trust, because when there's no trust, there's fear. And you can't tap into intuition when you have fear, different conversation. But so we have a tremendous level of trust with each other. It increases our intuition. And we also create a space where both of us can be present. And so we can tell each other something like, I just got called to do something and I just picked up the phone and did it. And it was so powerful. And that power is transmitted to me. And guess what? That's being conductive, right? So when I hang up the phone and I suddenly get an intuitive hit, I'm more likely to do something about it right away, because we just gave each other that power. Then that person turns around and that person turns around and so forth. So we are here because we know we have that capacity to create not only that inspiration for others, but actually to give them the tools to create that kind of momentum.
This is off the charts. And you wrote an unbelievable book that talks a lot about this, called Activating Your Opportunities. And the good news is for everybody that's listening, that's going to catch replay, if you're not there yet where you're available for this, have no fear, because in Tanya's book, she talks about how to flex these muscles where you can develop the ability to be available for those hits, acknowledge them, and then implement them, right?
Yes, exactly. Very practical, because we both have a background in finance. So yes, we came to these multiple journeys of consciousness, but we both come from a very practical, get it done mentality. And so I think, again, why are we here? That's part of the power as well, is living in two worlds, right? Is knowing that we can tap into a greater consciousness and we can make amazing things happen in this physical reality, because we've we've come through those realities to this place.
So what else is possible?
What else is possible now?
That's right. This is incredible. Thank you for your wisdom, T, for your resonance today.
Question.
Shifting gears for a moment, a topic that everybody can relate to and likes to discuss. You talk about this in one of your books as well, and that is our relationship with money and how it runs very deep. And you talk about how money isn't a problem or something to fight over. It's available and it's our friend. And for someone listening right now that might not be in the best financial spot, or they're having trouble attracting money, or they have this connotation or misconception in regards to what money really is, how can you guide or help someone maybe create a different, healthier relationship with money?
So many levels on that.
We could do a whole show just on that.
We absolutely can. So the first thing that came to me is this idea that we have to find things, right? Like we have to find a soulmate. We have to find the money. We have to find. What if we don't have to find it at all? Right? What would it take to just receive it? And so, money problems aren't a problem with money. There are problems with receiving, right? And a lot of things in life, like receiving relationships, receiving love, receiving attention, receiving money, receiving intimacy, right? They're receiving. And so at times it may seem like we're better at receiving some things than others, but over time, if we have a receiving problem, it catches up all around, right? It spreads. And so we want to ask ourselves, like, what would it feel like to actually receive a lot of money? What would that bring up? Right? Because sometimes that would bring up a lot of things. You can ask me, well, what if I just, gave you $1 million for this, for these 20 minutes right here? Well, okay, it's going to bring up like a bit of resistance. Well, Craig, come on, we're just having a chat. Like, you can't pay me $1 million for as much as I want to say. I'll take, right? So it doesn't even matter what reaction I have to that, but what matters is to observe and be aware of, wow, what does that bring up? Like, one of the things that I know I really have had to work through, and I'm sure I continue to work through, is, when you grow up on Wall Street, I grew up, I worked so hard to get that job at Salomon Brothers. Then I worked so hard for every job, and everything was like this mountain to climb. And I loved climbing mountains, right? So it wasn't like they were challenges, but they were challenges I loved. But, as I come to kind of a later stage in my career and life is, what if I've done most of the earning already? What if it doesn't have to be hard work anymore? Right. And so again, there's no answer to that, but the awareness of how interesting that I believe I have to speak for how many hours with you for you to pay me that, right? What if they're not related? What if it's not related? What if it's just about the value I'm providing? Because there's, I talk about this in Coaching Master as well, because people ask me a lot about pricing coaching, and, I can't tell you every hour of coaching is worth thousands of dollars, but I can tell you that, whatever hundreds of hours of coaching is worth millions of dollars, right? And so sometimes we get caught in this linear mindset of kind of tit for tat. Like, if I work an hour, you pay me this much. If I do this for you, you pay me that much. That's a question of always having to maintain our giving and receiving in balance. It's worth questioning.
This is unbelievable. And I'm getting a hit right now from a lecture that you and I sat next to each other on from last night. And that was when our teacher was talking about the two paths, we'll say, from creator, which were laid out for us. And one was the path of suffering. And then one was the path of spirituality, which is really a proactive transformation.
Yeah. And
we have a choice, right?
Yes. See, so there's two words there that are worth emphasizing. One is suffering. Suffering runs deep. It is multi-generational. We have all been through generations and generations and generations and lifetimes of believing that we need to suffer. Like, it's hard to understand now, because we are getting to a tipping point where enough of us know that we don't actually have to suffer anymore. Right? So there will come a tipping point where more people believe in pleasure and not in pain. Right? So there is that, and choice. Right? We also have deeply ingrained beliefs of, do we have permission to choose? Do we allow ourselves to even make a choice? Do we need someone to tell us it's okay to make that choice? And could it possibly be as simple as choosing? Right? So what I love about this era we're in right now is we are asking more questions, and conclusions are becoming less interesting than questions. And that's a stretch. And that could be, and not everyone may be there yet. But again, it's worth questioning. And the way to question is, I don't know if I believe that. Interesting. What if it is true? And not to answer it. The minute we answer it, we close the door. And now we only have what's in the room. That's it. Leave the doors open. Just leave the doors open. What if it were as simple as choosing? Leave the door open. Move on to something else. Just leave the door open.
What an awesome analogy. And the moment that we think we know it, or even if you're helping somebody try to finish their sentence, you're kind of capping what else would be possible from that scenario. And it sounds like what you're saying is you don't even have to come up with the right answer now, as long as you're open to leaving it open-ended and let it come at the right divine time.
Exactly. Yeah. And just trust. We all can increase our level of trust in everything, in everyone, especially in ourselves.
Do you ever lose trust in yourself, T?
It happens. Again, it's, it may not be long stretches of time anymore, but there are moments. There are moments. I'm a mom as well. And one of the most empowering, I have an 8-year-old and 11-year-old, as you know. And one of the most empowering things when I'm in a moment with my kids, or if I'm concerned about something that might, not work out for them, or a situation that might impact them in a way that I don't want, the most empowering thing I say to myself is, I trust my kids. And it's the most empowering thing I say to them. I trust you. You'll know what to do. Right? And so, yes, there are moments, and we have to be reminded. I trust myself. I trust my kids. I trust my friends. I trust the sun's coming up tomorrow.
And that's different than a confidence and a belief, a trusting, a knowing.
Yeah, it's deeper. It's much deeper. You have to trust. You have to trust someone, right? And some of us have more issues with trust than others, and our lives play out that way, because trust, a lack of trust is such a strong part of such a strong belief system that it plays out. So if we say, people can't be trusted, people can't be trusted, people can't be trusted, guess what? We surround ourselves with people who can't be trusted. Chicken or the egg?
Yeah. Such a good reminder. We're talking about trust, but really with anything that you continuously focus on, you'll end up bringing into your life.
Right.
Which is good, because something that you talk about a lot, you've really helped me with, if I'm being honest, is when you start to see all these characters in your movie or themes play out, it's a great opportunity to think, whoa, what's going on within me that I'm creating this reality, right?
What am I doing to create this? What am I doing? It's really empowering, actually. And again, there is that fine line. If the the thought patterns and the habits we have is, it's my fault, can sound very much to us like, what have I done to create this? Right. And that's where the muscle has to be developed, to go to, how did I create this? How can I uncreate this? As opposed to, I'm to blame, it's my fault, back to the self-judgment. Right. And so in both ways, we have to know just how fine that line is that we can tip either way on. And that's where the muscle building is. That's where the reps have to take place.
So, something that's coming to mind is ownership and accountability without judgment.
Yes. Because we can take responsibility and hold ourselves accountable, without the blame. The blame is where the self-judgment comes in, because it had already, you feel it when I just say the words accountability and responsibility versus blame and judgment. I don't know, to me, they even like seem like a different color, right? They're just like the texture of the words is heavier. Blame and judgment is heavier. Accountability and responsibility, I feel like I can change. If I'm a responsible person and I'm responsible for creating that, then instantly I know I can create something different.
Yeah. I love it. This is incredible. A couple more.
I'm like, wow, how did we got to some deep stuff so fast.
This is the good stuff. We don't want surface level stuff. This is where the real change occurs. I really get excited about helping other people connect to their gifts, their passions, their purpose, and lead with that in their life. And I know that you do as well, and you're doing it. And I saw you write in one of your books, and it really grabbed me, that when you give from the right place, also known as your heart, you can never really run out of energy. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's actually one of the ways you know if you're giving from the right place is whether you're running out of energy.
Okay.
Right. So I mean well, and I know I want to give, and I'm not judging, and then all that stuff. Right. If you walk away from that conversation a little tired, a little like, now you need a cup of coffee, or you just feel a little irritated or drained, well, your ego was speaking. That's why. And your ego takes a lot of energy. It's not the fuel that creates in the long term. Now, it can instigate a creation. This is what's really powerful, right? So it can be a match to light the fire, right? So let's say someone's unhappy at their job, for example, right? And they're unhappy at their job. It's going on. And you and I have both worked with people who have worked through transitions with us, career transitions with us. And let's say they're so unhappy at their job. And one day, it's just one too many, right? And they just get pissed off, right? They get pissed off. That's enough. I'm not going to be treated this way. I need to control this situation. And now the ego words come out, right? The judgment, the anger, the control, right? All these things come out. Now, right, that could be a match that they then wake up the next morning and say, wow, how did I let myself get in that situation? This really is over. It is time for a new start. Today, I'm going to go have lunch with a friend, have a cup of coffee with another, take a new headshot for LinkedIn. And it's just right. And so that the ego, when it's poked like that and reacts, can be the match for change, right? It can like light the fire for change. But if you're looking to create sustainable change in your life, it's not a sustainable fuel source. The ego is not a sustainable fuel source, which is why you can't coach from it. You can't coach from it because you'll use up too much energy. You'll expect feedback. You'll expect approval. You'll want to be liked. And they're all flow busters. It's just the minute you go there.
That's awesome.
Flow busters. New word. You heard it here first. And so listen to your physiology, because it does speak to you. It does speak to you. The aches, the pains, the frustration, the heaviness, the sugar cravings, your physiology does speak to you and ask you, are you connecting to your mission? Are you coming from your core, from your source, or are you trying to control a situation into what you think you need and then getting disappointed when you don't get it?
It reminds me of towards the end of my Wall Street career, when I gave everything I always give everything I got to everything I do, even if I'm not in love with the activity. And I was doing that towards the Wall Street. I remember I would come home at night, Tanya, and I wasn't just tired, I was depleted. Because in my head, I was like, I gotta wake up and do this again. But nowadays, I can do this all day till I'm blue in the face. And at the end of a long day, I am a little bit tired, but I can't wait to wake up and do it again. And I'm
Yes,
actually more hours now pouring into people than I was on Wall Street, but it's a totally different consciousness.
totally different. Totally. It's like Mondays are exciting. No more Sunday blues.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned the word ego there. Um, I'll say something to you maybe that's Kabbalah-ish, and maybe you can translate it for people that might not be super familiar. You love to talk about how the more battles we win against our ego, the greater the vessel that we have for more light. And you talk about basically like any container. The bigger it is, the more it holds.
Yeah.
And as we begin to expand, so does our capacity for greatness. You and I know that. For someone listening right now and they're hooked on every word that you're saying, but maybe that's a little confusing to them, how would you translate that so that they can apply it?
So good.
By the way, I want to encourage everybody to grab both of Tanya's books because most of the nuggets that we're dissecting here today are from her books.
So you packed many questions in one, and you packed a lot of wisdom in one question. So let's break down to something that can be a nugget
Let's do it.
and digestible, which is if you use your fight against your own ego, then your ability to receive expands. There's so many examples and ways to make that relatable, but there's two ways. One is when you expand your capacity, like you said, more you have more access, more light flows in. So it's like when you go, when you use a small cup or a huge cup, right? You're just going to drink more water out of a huge cup. So you're like pour more water into a big cup and you have access to more water to drink. So now why does busting your ego give you bigger cup or more water? There's a couple of things. One, you might have a big cup, but you know what? You just threw like 3 kitchen towels on top of it with your ego. So you're not even accessing what's in there. So you're creating darkness with the distractions, right? Distractions of anger, distractions of control, distractions of judgment, distractions of hatred. No, hatred. No, we don't hate. No, hatred. Like nobody hates. Yeah. You know what? I hate traffic. I hate it when my subway doesn't come on time. Okay, those aren't harmful hatreds, but it's an energy of hatred that I carry around in my day. So if I have that, it's with me in other things as well. So you have this beautiful ice cold cup of water that you want to drink out of your cup, but you threw 3 kitchen towels on it, so you can't even access it. So one consequence is breaking your ego is actually like peeling those away, right? You know what? I'm judging this person. What's really going on for them today that I'm not even aware of? Peel that towel away, right? I'm angry that the taxi didn't show up on time. Here's a good one. How angry do we get when the ambulance is really loud when we're on the phone walking in the street in New York? Oh, I'm sorry. Is somebody's like cardiac arrest interfering with your chit chat, right?
So
It's
good.
like,
Perfect.
I'm angry at that. It's like, you know what? Give me 1 second. Remember that ambulance is on the way to save a life, right? So put it on mute a second and let go of that anger, right? Pull away another kitchen towel from there, right? Controlling a situation. What if I just allow it? I'm trying to control a person because I think, they need my help and I have to control them to receive it. What if I just allow and accept where they are now, knowing that tomorrow they might be in a different place? Peel those away. So one way is to just like take the ego out of the way so you can even have access to the goodness, right? And the other is the more you do that, you just like the flow in your life increases. Just if more things flow into your life, and then you start noticing that the good things are happening. And guess what happens when you notice good things are happening? Good things happen. First of all, you notice more good things happen. But then more good things actually happen because now you're attracting that you're someone who's willing to recognize, to be aware of, and to receive greatness. And you're sending that message out. And your vibe is different. You're walking the streets and People want to hold the door for you or give you their cab or, right? It's different. It's your energy is changing.
This is unbelievable. This has been such a big breakthrough for me as I've really gotten deep with the wisdom that you and I share in common. And it's interesting because for people that are much more practical with their life or masculine energy, they're probably listening to this right now and be like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I just want the strategies on how to build my brand. Or I just need the know-how to run ads or to get more clients. But the stuff that you just unpacked, this system, if you will open up far more than anything anybody can ever imagine, including the know-how on business strategies. Would you agree with that?
Completely. And to make it practical, because again, you and I are here because we are practical, because we know how to grow businesses, we know how to connect people. If you're not there yet, first of all, you never have to study it. Like the people listening to us now don't ever have to study this stuff. They could if they want. They don't actually have to. But if they feel connected to you, to me, then they can come to our party, right? And our party is going to have this vibe. And that vibe is going to be catchy and they're going to walk out with it. And so this thing of we have to understand all the time, what if we didn't have to understand, right? What if we trusted ourselves that, you know what, I'm pretty good at picking the right parties to go to, pretty good at picking the right people to hang out with. And I know that when I go to bed feeling good because I went to the right party, hanging out with the right people, then I wake up in a good mood the next day. I make one or two more phone calls than I normally would because I feel like talking to people and connecting. And guess what? Another deal comes through from there, right? So I never wanted to feel, which is why I'm always transparent about my sources, but I never impose those on anybody else because you don't have to. Just come to the party.
Come to the party. Perfect place to put a pin in it until the sequel. Come to the party. This was unbelievable. Before we land with some fun rapid fire and get a little weird, what are you excited about right now, T? And for everybody that's going to catch this replay and listen, how can they possibly get involved? Where can they get more piece of you, the books and so forth? Tell us more.
Yeah, a couple of things I'm really excited about. One, I'm very excited about the books. One came out during, in 2021, that period of time, and the other one came out last year. And honestly, I've been kind of quiet about both of them. And I've released Activate Your Opportunities audiobook for my friends who say they like to listen more than read. That's cool too. And I just recorded Coaching Mastery's audiobook this week. So, the amazing things about the books, it's not about, hey, I'm an author, I published a book. It's not that. Like what excited me about writing a book and what excites me most about having a book written now is that, like we're talking here, there's so much content in there that it's captured, right? So much of the wisdom is captured and more accessible. And it's really about making that consciousness and that awareness accessible to people. They're pretty, small books. I made them very easy to read. And so I'm really excited about more people getting to that. The Coaching Mastery book, which I published last year, is exciting to me because it's going to help every coach who reads it deepen their relationship with a client and expand their business. The world needs more really good coaches, and the world needs more successful coaches so that they can help more people and other people can get inspired to help more people. And again, this is the momentum that you and I are out to create as part of our missions. So I was very transparent in Coaching Mastery, pricing, programming, preparation for a session. I got really practical, really granular on how to be a successful coach and how to have really deep, transformative relationships with your clients. And it really excites me that more coaches will read that and more coaches will help more people. And that blows my mind. So that's really top of the list right now.
Couldn't love you more. I wonder what we look like in our previous lifetime when we were also connected, because we are absolutely soulmates. And I've been saying lately, I think soulmates is more than just intimacy and stuff like that. I think that you have many soulmates in different capacities. And I just love the work that you're doing, obviously the friendship and so forth. But I can't encourage everybody enough. You don't even have to be a coach. She has the other book, but there's still practical tools in there. Grab the book, grab a second copy and give it to a friend, somebody you care about. They're unbelievable. And it's the perfect blend of spirituality, but also the practical. So it's very digestible. You can consume it and start to apply it immediately. So thank you for those.
They're business books. Remember, they are business books. They're not your typical business books, but they're business books.
Okay.
Thank you. And what else can we create together?
Yeah. But you're not off the hook yet. Quick rapid fire, 1 or 2 word answers. Don't think. Are you ready for me?
Yes.
Favorite workout, T?
I just PR'd my deadlift again. Gets me pretty excited. But I'm really into pickleball at the moment. Really into it, especially because it's fun and it's with people and it's just it's a multi-dimensional experience and it's a very physical experience. So I'm going to say pickle at the top.
Okay. Love it. Your dream travel destination?
Whew.
Making you sweat.
I know. It's like, wow, shouldn't be that hard. I'm a kite surfer and I don't do it often enough. So especially as my children, with the children, I haven't been kiting as much as I did before children. So anywhere I get back on the board with the kite in the air is the dream destination. And you just sparked in me that it's time to book one.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to hold you to it.
Okay.
Couple more. Favorite movie?
Not a big movie, though.
You've seen one that inspires you, I'm sure.
The more series, like I watched, Billions last year, front to back, Schitt's Creek, and Ted Lasso. That's kind of my thing.
Okay, fair enough. Your favorite all-time New York Ranger?
Oh, Zibanejad. All time is tough because I got Zibanejad on my mind right now, but there's obviously Messier and Gretzky was a Ranger, and but my dog's name is Mika. So.
Fair enough. 2 more.
So, yeah.
Your favorite morning ritual essential?
It actually starts with the way I wake up. And the way I wake up is on a cooling pad that goes hot and vibrates a little bit to wake me up. And so the morning ritual is actually the way I start the day, which is wanting to get out of bed because I'm hot and I'm not startled by an alarm clock or anything like that, but just a gentle it's called an 8 sleep. It's life-changing. Everyone should have one. So critical.
I really like the emphasis on not startled.
Yes, not startled. Just like, and plus already because you're getting hot, I wake up even before it starts the little vibration.
Final one, pretty deep. 1 word to describe your journey so far.
Trust.
Ooh, that's where we dropped the mic. See, this was unbelievable. Hang out for 1 sec. Thank you so much for stopping by today and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets.
Amazing talking to you all the time. Can't wait for the next one.